It's called the SNAP gap, and it refers to the amount of people eligible for the federally funded Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, and those who actually apply for it. Advocates are pushing to close the SNAP gap so that more people in need will be able to buy nutritious foods for their families. Carolee McGrath sat down with Christina Maxwell, the Director of Programs for the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts, to learn more.
It's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, used to be called food stamps. And so it's an allotment that a person or a family can get monthly from the federal government to help them purchase food at the grocery store, at farmers markets, at a bodega, wherever food is sold. So it helps people put food on the table and supplement their income to help them do that.
And there is a gap currently. It's called the SNAP gap. Tell us a little bit about what you're talking about with that.
Yeah, the SNAP gap is the group of people who in Massachusetts qualify and are receiving Mass Health and probably therefore also would qualify for SNAP but are not enrolled in SNAP. It's about 750,000 people, give or take. And so we're concerned that there's this huge number of people who should be receiving SNAP, but they haven't enrolled in the program. And for many people, the reason for that is that they just don't know about the program or they don't realize that they qualify. So there's been legislation introduced to try to create a common application portal so people could apply for both Mass Health and SNAP at the same time.
And what are you hearing from people once they realize, oh, I didn't even know I qualified for this, who have been struggling perhaps to make ends meet and put food on the table?
Yeah, we hear that from a lot of people. And people who finally do realize that they qualify tell us that they wish they had realized it a lot earlier because it would have made their lives easier. One of the things that we hear, particularly in our region in Western Mass, is people have so much trouble with transportation that it's really hard to get around to the multiple offices that a person needs to go to apply for these different programs. So having the ability to do it in one place would just make it a lot easier for people to get enrolled in the programs that they qualify for. And it would really help people be able to put multiple pieces of their lives back together. If somebody is food insecure, they likely have multiple other challenges going on in their lives also. So this would just help a lot of people be able to put food on the table, get access to health care, and not have to spend all of their time traveling from one office to the next, but they could focus on raising their kids and going to work or going to school or whatever else they're trying to do.
And tell us a little bit about the income requirements to be eligible for the SNAP program.
Yeah, so the income in Massachusetts is 200% of the federal poverty level. So for a lot of people who are working, even full-time, they're still qualifying for SNAP, depending on the size and composition of their family. So we are seeing a lot of people who are working, they're working hard, they're going to school perhaps to get some more training, and they're still qualifying for SNAP, which is a great benefit to them. We wish that if they were working full-time, they didn't need to qualify for SNAP,
right.
But they do. And so if they qualify, they should be able to enroll in the program and get the benefits.
And when you talk to just, families across Western Massachusetts, and I bet if you ask them how much do you spend on food every 2 weeks when your paycheck comes in, it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of
right?
money.
I mean, it's a lot to feed a family, especially if you have a few kids.
It is. And in Massachusetts, we have one of the highest costs of food in the country, if not the highest. So it's really expensive to feed yourself and your kids. Teenagers eat a ton of food. Mm-hmm. So it can be a really big chunk of a family's income going to food. And we do hear a lot of people who are having to make really terrible choices about what to pay for. So they may need to pay for medicine or food. They can't pay for both. Nobody should have to make that choice. They may have to pay for electricity, keeping the lights on at home, or buying food. And again, nobody should have to make those choices. We should be able to do both.
And so SNAP, once again, is a federally funded program as well.
Right.
How would it change, the economy in Massachusetts if more people knew that this was out there?
It would bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars to the economy. So every month, that's millions of dollars that come in from the federal government to families or individuals, and then that money gets spent in our local economies. It gets spent at the grocery store or the farmer's market, and so those are dollars that stay in our community. So if more people were able to apply and receive the program, that would be many more dollars coming into our local economies that, of course, help our grocers and the people who work at the grocery stores and our farmers and, you know, people who are involved in the food economy, which in our part of the state is a really large portion of the population.
So you can use it at a farmer's market?
You can.
And do you encourage people, you know, when they are in this program, you know, to consider those types of choices? Obviously, a farmer's market would be a very good spot if you're looking for healthful food choices.
Absolutely. And now we have a program called the Healthy Incentives Program, which will double people's purchases at farmers markets, farm stands, and CSAs and mobile markets. So if they're using SNAP and they go to one of those locations and purchase some food, they get an immediate rebate back for the cost of that purchase. And people who are on SNAP, just like the rest of us, want to eat healthy. They want to feed their kids healthy food. And sometimes that food is more expensive than lower quality processed food. So it's often hard for people who are on SNAP to be able to make those purchases. But HIP helps them to do that, and we hear from a lot of people that they're just so delighted that that program exists. Their health has gotten better. I just spoke with a woman last week who told me that she's stopped taking her high blood pressure medication because her blood pressure has returned to normal now that she's eating a lot more fruits and vegetables.
And do you think this will be a difficult bill to pass? It would seem that it wouldn't be that hard, to streamline an application, a common application into one spot. But what are you hearing as far as getting this pushed through?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how complicated it is given the technological challenges of having multiple databases talk to each other. So everybody sees the wisdom of this. It's not a hard sell, it's simply hard to do. So we're hearing a lot of support in the legislature, and everybody would like to make this happen, I think, but it can be a little bit hard to do technologically. So what we're proposing is a pilot and try to have a common landing page so that people could go to one site and apply for both Mass Health and SNAP in the same location, but it wouldn't be the same application. Further down the road, years from now, we would like to see a common application, but that's kind of step number 2.
And so in the absence of this, how have you been getting the word out about the SNAP program to people that you serve?
At the food bank, we've got a staff of 5 people who work on SNAP outreach and enrollment, so they go to locations throughout the community, hundreds of locations, and they're out there every day enrolling people in SNAP, helping them with the application process, which can be a little bit complicated, and helping them get enrolled in the program. We put the word out on social media, we put it in our newsletters, we try to get the word out however we can to make sure that people know about the program.
And the difference that it makes in their lives, what are you hearing from people?
Well, it's incredible. I mean, if you can't eat, you can't do anything else. So we hear from people all the time who are just so grateful for SNAP, and it really helps them stabilize their budgets. It helps them be able to pay for other things in their life. If their food budget is taken care of, it helps them pay for their medicine, their electricity, gas for the car to get to work. So it's really so important. Even though the SNAP benefit is not substantial enough to be able to get most people through a full month, it's at least extremely helpful.